Hey man, the moment a woman realizes she lost a man she can't replace isn't loud. It's not always dramatic, it's quiet, but it's heavy, and it hits her when she least expects it. She might be at a party, laughing with friends, scrolling her phone, or lying in bed staring at the ceiling, when the thought creeps in like a shadow, I'll never find him again. This is not about missing just any man. It's about losing a man who stood out from the endless parade of predictable options. A man whose energy, presence, and way of making her feel was rare, almost irreplaceable. She won't admit it right away, even to herself, because it means confronting the truth that she underestimated you. At first, she'll try to brush it off. She'll distract herself, tell herself she's better off, and throw herself into new conversations and new faces. But deep down, she knows. And that knowing grows heavier with time, because when she starts comparing, and she will compare, every other man falls short. Not just a little short, they fall embarrassingly short. It starts subtly. She meets someone new, and for a brief moment, she feels a flicker of excitement. But then he speaks, and the way he talks doesn't have that same grounded authority you had. He texts too much, or too little, or without the depth she craves, the depth you gave effortlessly. He laughs at his own jokes too quickly, brags too much, or tries too hard to impress her. And she notices it instantly now, because once a woman has experienced a man with real masculine presence, her standard is forever shifted. The things she once thought were normal in other men now look like glaring weaknesses. She starts to see that the connection she had with you wasn't luck, and it wasn't just timing, it was a product of who you are, the way you carried yourself, the way you listened without trying to impress, the way you didn't crumble under her moods or try to buy her approval with constant validation. And slowly, it dawns on her that combination is rare. So rare that maybe she'll never find it again. Regret for a woman doesn't slam into her all at once. It seeps in day by day with each small disappointment she experiences in the dating world. At first, she'll distract herself with attention from other men because attention is the easy drug. But attention without substance feels hollow. She'll start to remember small moments she had with you, the way you stayed calm when she tried to provoke you, the way you could make her feel safe without coddling her, the way you could spark her attraction without begging for it. Those memories will feel sharper now, more vivid, because they contrast so violently with what she's experiencing with other men. This is when her mind starts running the dangerous loop. Maybe I overreacted, maybe I misjudged him, maybe I ruined something, I'll never get back. And that loop, once started, is almost impossible for her to turn off. It plays in the background of her life, no matter how much she tries to drown it out. The real pain comes when she realizes that the very traits she once criticized or took for granted in you are now the traits she's desperate to find in others, and failing to. That calmness she thought meant you didn't care enough, she now sees it as confidence and control. That unwillingness to constantly text her back instantly, she now understands it was because you had a life, priorities, and boundaries. That refusal to tolerate her unnecessary drama, she now recognizes it as self-respect. In her immaturity, or in her moment of ego, she may have mistaken those things as flaws, but time has stripped away her arrogance. Now she can see it clearly. Those were the exact qualities that made you stand out in a sea of mediocrity. And the more she dates, the more she realizes that most men simply don't have them. She may have thought you were just another guy when you were around, but absence has revealed the truth. You were the exception, not the rule. By the time this realization fully sets in, it's already too late for her. Because a man who truly knows his worth, a man who lived with that kind of presence and control, doesn't go back to someone who threw it away. She might test the waters, sending you a message, or liking an old post to see if the door is still open. She might even try to spark your curiosity with a subtle display of herself online, hoping you'll take the bait. But if you've leveled up in your mindset, you'll see it for what it is. Not love, not real remorse, but a desperate attempt to recapture a feeling she can't recreate anywhere else. And the brutal truth is, once she realizes you've moved on and that her window to reclaim you has closed, that's when the real weight of her decision crushes her. That's when she's forced to live with the one thought she can't escape. She let the best man she's ever had slip away, and he's never coming back. Once that realization hits, that you're truly gone, her mind doesn't just remember you, it magnifies you. Everything about you becomes larger than life in her memory. The way you walked into a room with quiet confidence now feels even more magnetic. The subtle smirk you'd give when you knew something she didn't now feels impossibly attractive. She starts replaying old conversations in her head, hanging onto words she once brushed off, now wondering what they really meant. It's not just nostalgia, it's a psychological trap. Her brain, desperate to reconcile the loss, starts to romanticize every detail. And because she can't have you anymore, the fantasy version of you becomes even more intoxicating than the real thing. Every man she meets from this point on is not just compared to who you were, he's compared to the idealized version of you her mind has created. That's a battle no one can win, and it keeps her stuck, chasing the ghost of what she lost. It's in her quiet moments that the obsession burns the brightest, when the noise fades, when she's not texting someone new, not laughing in a crowded bar, not numbing herself with distractions. That's when you come flooding back. She'll scroll through her camera roll, half hoping, half fearing she'll stumble across an old photo of you. She'll hear a song you used to play, and her stomach will drop. She'll catch a whiff of a cologne that reminds her of you, and it will feel like a punch to the chest. These moments aren't random, they're emotional landmines her mind has planted, waiting to detonate when she's most vulnerable. And every time they go off, they reinforce the same truth. She lost you, and there's no getting that connection back. She'll start seeing you in other men, not literally, but in fragments. A stranger might have your jawline. A guy at work might carry himself with a sliver of your composure. A man at the gym might have a similar build, or the same style of shirt you used to wear. But each time, the resemblance only makes the absence sharper. Because while these men might carry one piece of what made you stand out, none of them carry the entirety of it. None of them have that full package. The balance of strength and patience, mystery and warmth, dominance and restraint, that made you impossible to forget. And with every failed comparison, she sinks deeper into the awareness that she let go of a man who wasn't just different, he was one of one. Her social media becomes a double-edged sword. On one hand, she'll try to project that she's thriving without you, posting pictures of nights out, trips, and dinners with friends. But on the other hand, she's watching you like a hawk. Every story you post, every subtle update, she's dissecting for clues. If she sees you looking happy, relaxed, or, worst of all, with another woman, it will trigger a mix of emotions she can't control. Jealousy, regret, panic, and underneath it all, the sinking dread that you've truly replaced her, that her absence didn't cripple you the way she secretly hoped it would. This dread is the core of her pain, because it forces her to confront something women rarely want to believe: you didn't need her to be whole. By now, she's not just missing you, she's haunted by you. You're in her dreams, in her music, in her everyday environment. And the more she tries to replace you, the more obvious it becomes that she can't. Every date feels forced. Every new conversation lacks the spark. Every man who tries to win her over feels like a downgrade. And deep down, she knows the truth. She misjudged you. She thought she could walk away and keep her options open, that there would be another man like you around the corner, but there wasn't, and there won't be. Because when a woman loses a man she can't replace, the loss isn't just about missing you. It's about losing the version of herself she could only be with you. The excitement, the respect, the femininity you drew out of her without even trying. That's the kind of loss that lingers forever. When she hits that emotional collapse phase, it doesn't happen with fireworks. It happens quietly, like a slow leak in a tire. One day, she's pretending she doesn't care. The next, she's checking your last seen on messaging apps. Then suddenly, she's finding reasons to text you. It starts small. A casual, "Hey, how have you been?" Or "Saw something today that reminded me of you." But those messages aren't about catching up. They're probes. Little tests to see if you'll bite, to see if you'll open the door again. Because deep down, she's hoping for one thing: that you're still emotionally available, still sitting in the same place she left you. And the most powerful thing you can do, as a man in this moment, is give her nothing. The silence you maintain here is deafening to her, because it confirms her worst fear, that you've truly moved on. Her strategies will escalate. If light contact doesn't get a response, she'll find more urgent reasons to reach out. Maybe she'll pretend she needs advice only you can give. Maybe she'll accidentally, like an old post of yours, hoping you'll notice and initiate the conversation, or she might even reach out under the guise of closure, which is almost never about closure, but about reopening the connection. These moves are not random. They're designed to regain emotional leverage over you, because once she realizes she's lost the upper hand, she feels a loss of control over her own self-worth. And when a woman loses that, she'll fight to get it back, even if it means swallowing pride she once swore she'd never compromise. This is when the emotional mask starts to crack. You might notice little slips in her tone. From confident to nervous, from playful to slightly anxious. She might try to hide it, but her words will carry more weight, more urgency. Her responses will come faster than before. Her jokes will feel forced. Her compliments will land with a tinge of desperation. And the reason is simple. She's no longer in control of the story. Before she thought she was the one deciding when and how this ended. But now she's forced to face the truth that you hold the final chapter and you might not let her back in. That shift in power from her hands to yours is the moment that changes everything. Here's where most men make the mistake. They let her back in too soon. The minute she shows some softness or vulnerability, they think the game is won, so they rush to reconnect. But the truth is, that's exactly how you lose the power you've built. If you want her obsession to deepen, you have to let her marinate in the discomfort. Let her sit in the emptiness. Let her imagine you with other women. Let her replay the moments she could have chosen differently but didn't. The longer you leave her in that space, the more her mind will attach value to you. And when she finally comes back, because she will, she'll do so with a completely different energy, one that's willing to work for your attention, instead of assuming it's hers by default. By the time she reaches this point, it's not just about wanting you back, it's about redemption. She needs to prove to herself that she can still have you, that she didn't ruin her chances forever. And this is where your calm, controlled, high-value frame becomes lethal, because you're not angry, you're not chasing, and you're not bitter, you're simply selective. You engage on your terms. You decide when to reply, if at all. You choose the pace, the tone, the level of intimacy, and every time you display that restraint, every time you show her that she doesn't have the same emotional pull over you that she once did, you're not just regaining control, you're making her fall into the exact dynamic she once thought she could escape. This is the moment she truly realizes she didn't just lose you, she lost a man she can never replace. Once she realizes she can't just waltz back into your life with a smile and a "hey stranger," her entire approach shifts. She'll start overcompensating, putting in more effort than you've ever seen from her. She'll suddenly remember your favorite food and post a picture of herself cooking it. She'll laugh a little too loudly at your jokes if you cross paths. She'll compliment you in ways she never did when you were together, not because she suddenly discovered those traits, but because now she's fighting for a place in your world. What's fascinating here is that she's not acting from pure desire, she's acting from fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being replaced. Fear that the man she once assumed would always be there for her has now become an untouchable figure in her life story. In her mind, she's building a case, not to you, but to herself. She's trying to convince herself that she can still win you over if she tries hard enough, if she says the right things, if she proves she's changed. But here's the reality. When a woman gets to this point, it's not about the changes she claims she's made. It's about her inability to accept that you've changed. Because you're no longer the man waiting at the edge of her decisions, holding the door open. You're the man walking away without looking back. And every step you take in that direction forces her to confront the truth. She's been avoiding that she's the one chasing now. And that dynamic reversal is eating her alive. This is the stage where her attempts become more creative and more transparent. She might bump into you at places she knows you frequent, acting surprised to see you. She might use mutual friends to drop little breadcrumbs about her life, hoping the news gets back to you. She may even craft situations designed to trigger nostalgia, playing the song you both loved, wearing the fragrance you used to compliment, or sharing a memory on social media that she knows will catch your attention. Each move is calculated, but none of it feels as effortless as it once did. That's because it's not effortless anymore, it's work. And women hate feeling like they have to work for a man they once took for granted. But here's the key psychological twist. The more she tries to prove herself now, the more she reinforces the fact that she no longer holds the upper hand. Every compliment, every attempt to spark your attention, every manufactured coincidence becomes another reminder to her that she's on the outside looking in. This is why the calm, non-reactive man wins in the long game. He understands that he doesn't have to punish her or gloat. Her own actions, born from her own fear of loss, will be punishment enough. The greatest power you can hold over a woman is not revenge, but indifference. And in this phase, indifference becomes the oxygen she's gasping for. By now, her emotional state is fragile. She swings between bursts of optimism, thinking she's making progress, and moments of deep insecurity when she realizes you're still not responding the way she hoped. And in that instability, she begins to project. She might accuse you of seeing someone else, even if you've said nothing to suggest it. She might bring up the past in a way that's both nostalgic and bitter. She might even try to provoke you into reacting, because any reaction, even anger, would reassure her that she still matters to you. But you've learned the hard way that reacting gives her what she wants. So instead, you stay centered, calm, and unshaken, and that drives her deeper into the very emotional spiral that makes her value you more. Eventually, she'll hit what I call the acceptance panic. This is when it finally sinks in that she might actually lose you forever, and the thought terrifies her. She starts imagining you with someone else, imagining you laughing with another woman, imagining another person experiencing the side of you she once had all to herself. Those mental images don't just hurt her pride, they shatter her sense of identity. Because for as long as she's known you, she's carried the unspoken belief that you'd never really leave. And now, she's forced to face the uncomfortable reality that she's been replaced in a role she once thought was permanent. The most fascinating part of this stage is how it changes her perception of time. When you were still in her life, she felt in control, relaxed, certain that she could take her time and make decisions on her terms. Now, every day you don't respond feels like a week. Every week feels like a month. She starts living in the waiting room of your attention, refreshing her phone, scanning her notifications, searching for any sign that you still think about her. And in that waiting room, something profound happens. She starts rewriting the history of your relationship in her mind, focusing on the good, minimizing the bad, and telling herself she messed up the best thing she ever had. If you've stayed strong this long, you've now reached the point where her pride is officially gone. The woman who once rolled her eyes at your affection is now hanging onto every word you say, hoping for crumbs of validation. She's no longer measuring your worth. She's measuring her own against whether you acknowledge her. And this is the stage that most men never see, because they fall too early. They take her first signs of interest as a victory and rush back in. But when you stay the course, when you make her earn your attention again, that's when the dynamic is forever changed. She'll never interact with you the same way again, because she now understands you can walk away at any time, and that knowledge keeps her invested. And here's the brutal truth. Once a woman learns that you're capable of fully detaching, she never forgets it. She might test you again in the future, but those tests will be weaker, more hesitant, because she knows the cost of pushing too far. You've shifted her perception of you from always available to dangerously scarce, and scarcity breeds value. That's not a theory, it's human psychology. When something is hard to get, people want it more. And when something that was once easy to get becomes difficult, they obsess over it. That's why the most powerful thing you can do when she realizes she's lost you is nothing. Let her come to you. Let her carry the weight of her own decisions. By the time she fully processes the loss, you've already won. Not in a petty, ego-driven way, but in a way that redefines the entire relationship dynamic. You've shown her that you're not a man who can be manipulated, taken for granted, or emotionally blackmailed into staying. You've proven that your self-respect outweighs your desire for her, and that's a form of strength most men never reach. And whether she admits it or not, she'll carry that image of you, calm, unbothered, and untouchable, for the rest of her life. Because in a world where so many men crumble under female validation games, you stood firm, and that's the kind of man she'll never truly get over.